stressful for the mind. Abundance is healing and focus.
So let me break down for you in detail how the mind, the emotions, mental health, and healing works. And if you're a clinician, this is going to be perfect for you. I'm going to provide examples. Even if you're not a clinician, if you're someone who wants to heal, and to be able to protect yourself from mental illness, to heal yourself from mental illness or protect your family, here's what it breaks down to. In the woman's video, she said she studied mental health at Harvard and summarized everything in basically that scarcity is stressful, abundance is healing, focus and perception are everything. So focus and perception are not everything, they are just key. And the reason why focus and perception are key is because focus and perception are the only things that we can actually always control. The other two things besides the focus and perception that affect our mental health and our emotions is reality and values. Reality is like literally in the physical realm, what is happening around you. Examples: I lost my job, that's reality. The house is messy, that's reality. The kids are screaming, that's reality. I got a stain on my shirt, that's reality. I'll get into how that drives us into mental illness in a minute. In some of these cases, you can change reality and you can feel better. If I can suddenly get a new job, I can feel better. If the kids may be quiet, I may feel better, less distressed. If it turns out the stain comes out easily, it may feel better. So in some cases, we can change the reality. In other cases, we cannot change the reality. What if I live in an area where racism is high and I'm not the majority race? Okay, I can't change that reality unless I can move, I guess. But I can't change the fact that there's racism. If you were bullied, if you were assaulted, you can't change the fact that you were bullied or you were assaulted. If you lost something, you might not be able to get it back, right? So many times in reality, there's just things we cannot change that are out of our control. Likewise, when we look at values, that's another thing that affects our emotions. It's very pivotal to how we feel because your values are what's important to you. And they're part of what makes you unique because not every person, and basically not any person, has exactly all of the same values. That's a strange thought because it seems to us sometimes that everyone should feel the same way we feel about everything, but that's not the case. And that's why not everyone becomes traumatized by everything. Examples of values are what are important to you. It can be your body, your video game system. It can be your car, things that are material like that. It can also just be concepts like loyalty, friendship, love, affection, and so on. So if you hold these things as valuable, when you see a violation, you experience a violation, you believe a violation is coming of these values, then that's going to be potentially dysregulating. And that's going to be what I'll classify as trauma. Trauma can really be potentially anything that's a violation of your values. It doesn't mean every time something violates your values, it will be a trauma, but potentially it could be. So trauma I define as anything that is distressing, that causes a undesirable change in you. Any distressing event that causes an undesirable change in you. So what creates trauma versus just a normal violation is that this changes you for the worse now. So let's give examples. I think one of the values I mentioned was video game, right? If your girlfriend takes your video game set and she destroys it, right? For some people, if they don't value the video game set, that will not cause them trauma. Even if you value it, it's going to be a violation. It's going to make you feel bad if they destroy it, if you value it, because now you're perceiving a violation of your values. So it's going to make you feel bad. What makes it a trauma is if it changes you now for the worse. So if you say, I'm done with all women, you're traumatized. I'll never play video games again. You're traumatized. So it has to have that aspect of changing you in a way that's going to be an undesirable change, right? So that's what creates a trauma. And now you have what you mentioned about perception is everything. It's not everything, but it's key because that's the one thing we can always change. I can't make my video game set come back. I can't change the fact that I valued the video game set perhaps, but I can change my perception. My perception is everything in that it's key. It's most important. It's the one thing I can change. So focus/perception, how would I do that with the video game destruction? I can say, let me focus on what I control. I can control earning more money to buy a new video game or get the one that I have fixed. That's changing my focus, and I immediately start feeling better. I can control getting rid of this girlfriend and getting a new one. I can control taking this to an expert and helping them or asking them if they can get this fixed. It's perception. The perception of the situation could be, well, I choose to look at this as a good thing or that there's a good part to it. And I'm going to focus on that because now I can spend less time on my video game. When you frame things that way, when you change your perception that way, you go from dysregulation to regulation, which could be the difference between traumatization and homeostasis, or mental illness and mental health. So that's why we do put the emphasis on changing the perception, controlling the focus. Focus on what you can control, change the perception to things so that they are now in alignment with your values instead of detrimental to the values. Which brings me to the second part of what you said, which is scarcity is stressful, abundance is healing. I explained in my last video, that's not universal, but generally speaking, yes, you're correct. Scarcity mindset is a detrimental mindset. Abundance mindset is a healing, a beneficial mindset. But you need to look at the larger umbrellas instead of it being about scarcity and abundance. There's more to it than that. It's anything that is out of alignment or a violation of our values. Anything that's a violation of our values, including scarcity, is going to be stressful or give us feelings that are unpleasant. To simplify, bad feelings that we classify as bad. Anger, sadness, irritation, anxiety. We get those feelings from what? Anything that's going to be a violation of our values. That's the larger umbrella that causes the negative feelings or the unpleasant feelings. The larger umbrella that gives us healing is not abundance. The larger umbrella, which abundance mindset is under this umbrella, it's perceiving anything as being beneficial or in alignment with your values. Anything that's aligning with your values or beneficial to yourself or your purpose. Anything that you see from that perspective, and you can view things in that perception, then it's going to fall under healing, happiness, health, right? So what we have to become pros at, if we want to heal ourselves, keep our children mentally stable and healthy, and be able to heal others, become a trauma specialist yourself or a life coach. What you have to be a pro at is changing perception and focus to what is beneficial, to what aligns. Changing perception and focus to what is beneficial and what aligns with the values. All of our emotions hinge on our perception of how reality is interacting with our values. If it aligns, we feel good. If we perceive it aligns, we feel good. If we perceive it does not align, we feel bad. So a person can have very serious depression. And you say, what is the main thing right now that is causing that depression? And they say, it is that I lost my house, and my house was everything to me. When you help them to change the perception of the situation, help them to not view the house as everything, because that's putting the house up as too important. It's idealizing and deifying the house. And you help them to change the perception to seeing that this can happen to anyone, and why should they be exempt from these things happening? That's acceptance, and perceiving what could be good out of this is the simplification of your life. When they start to view it now from the perspective of this aligns with my values, or what about this aligns with my values, their depression will disappear. That's not a sometimes, that's a guarantee. And understanding that is why clinicians that I train are 100% effective in lowering depression and anxiety in their clients in one session. So if you haven't already, book a session. and enroll in my healing school.